I'm going to show you how to make a Synthwave lead guitar sound with a synth that sounds like this. So there you have it right there. Obviously you can tell it's still a synth, right? It's not as great, but if it was a guitar. But if you can't play guitar, or you don't have access to a guitarist or something, and you want to have a nice kind of 80s lead guitar sound in your track, how do you do that? Well, that's what I did here. So first off, we're going to look at the performance itself. So here's what it looks like here. So you can do any kind of performance that you want here, but I wanted to have a kind of a faster paced, shredding kind of style here. So we're kind of almost doing like an arpeggio here, up, up, and then we have a couple held out notes. It's kind of fun to have some of those held out notes as well, because we can get some nice pitch bending and modulation in there, which can help add with the authenticity, have it sound more authentic. So this is what I had played. And then another way you can make this a little bit more authentic is if I were to adjust the velocity here, randomize it so it's not quite all the same. But I didn't do that here, so we're going to ignore that, because this is actually a section from my song Innocence Lost, which is already out on streaming platforms. Actually, this is a remix version that I'm working on, so I don't think this actual performance is in the song, but I do have other guitar parts. Anyway, so we got some modulation here, so we're basically increasing the vibrato, and we're also pitch bending as well. So you can see we're pitch bending it, so that mimics the guitarist like bending the strings when they're playing it to have a more organic feel. So you can really hear the difference if I turn these off. In modulation, this is just increasing the vibrato. So we turn this off. Let's hear how it sounds. I'll solo this. So definitely a lot more stale versus if I turn this on. So I can especially hear it here. That's really big, the performance in general. So now let's look at the actual sound. So what kind of a synth sound do you want to use to create more of that authentic guitar sound? Well, I'm going to turn off these effects real quick. So I'm using this guitar-like pulse lead, which is a preset here in Syntronic 2. It's part of the SHV synth. And it looks like this is using a sine wave, but typically you want to use like a square or like a sawtooth wave. So it says it's a sine, but it sounds grittier. I'm not sure where that's coming from. So typically you'd want to use more like a square, but it's got that really plucky, aggressive attack as well. So that's kind of something to keep in mind. Before I go into what effects I use to create this sound, I want to let you know about my free Synthwave sample and preset pack. You can grab it in the description below, or go to orpheusaudioacademy.com/starter pack. And even if you don't make Synthwave music, there's a ton of amazing things in here. Not only do you get a bunch of vintage drum machine samples, but you also get a bunch of synth preset packs for things like Serum, Vital, and a bunch of other synths. So tons of goodies packed into this starter pack, and it's completely free. So you can grab it by going to the description below or going to orpheusaudioacademy.com/starter pack. Effects wise, I'm just adding this tube, it has this tube lead on here. So it's basically just putting an amp on it. So put some kind of guitar amp on it, and then it's got a little bit of delay. Not bad. And I add some more effects. I actually add another guitar amp on here. This is the Waves amp, but any kind of guitar amp. Just kind of experiment until you find something you want. I went with a more clean sound. Just thought sounded a little bit more guitarish with that. By the way, this video is sponsored by Lander, the all-in-one platform for music producers. This is my go-to platform for everything related to music production. Imagine having access to samples, plugins, AI mastering, music distribution, online courses, and collaboration tools, all for less than 50 cents a day. This is all included inside of their Lander Studio plan, which includes 1,800 sample credits per year, 35 plus plugins, 27 with perpetual licenses, unlimited AI mastering online or in your DAW, unlimited music releases to over 150 platforms, access to 150 plus online courses on everything music, collaboration tools, easy cover song licensing, and a whole bunch more. If you want to try it out yourself, you can actually get 20% off your first year. Just sign up using my link below or go to orpheusaudioacademy.com/Lander. With that, back to the video. Then I added some saturation with this BB tube. So any kind of saturation, right? You can use like a free tube saturation plugin. Logic has one built into it with one of their vintage EQs. So it just makes it a lot grittier so it can really cut through the mix. And I added some chorus because that's kind of a big component of these vintage guitar lead sounds. They would have used effects like chorus, phaser, flanger, things like that. Just helps it sound a little bit more vintage and spaces it out. And then we got some kind of annoying harmonics in there, so I'm kind of trying to just keep those mid frequencies with the EQ. And I could probably like put another EQ, spend more time EQing this. Like there's some resonances up here. A little annoying, but you don't really hear those so much in the mix, and I've added a little bit more delay. Just kind of spreads it out some more. Then I got some more effects on here. I got this, I felt like it still wasn't sounding like guitar-ish enough. So I have this bus over here where I'm using this CLA guitars, and this is a really great plugin. I found, like, I haven't found anything else that kind of makes something sound like an amplified guitar. It's this re-amplify control here, and I put it on crunch. And then I also added a couple of stomp boxes from Waves, fuzz and wah-wah. Just actually the wah-wah's off, just fuzz. And then I just high passed all those effects. So with just a CLA. So it definitely makes it really big. It's a little bit cloudy, so that's not ideal. So if you want a little bit more focus, you can turn off the amp, but I wanted it nice and big and large for this sound. Then I put some, looks like spring reverb on here, just a tad, and some towel reverb. This is really great at getting a vintage reverb sound. So all together, here are all the effects. And then again, in the context of the mix, I think it sounds pretty decent. If you enjoyed this tutorial, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you want to check out more tutorials on how to do sound design and create your own vintage synth sounds, then check out my playlist on the screen right now. With that, have an awesome day, keep creating, and I'll see you in a future video.